Hello and welcome to the Goddess Awakening podcast with your host, Lorena Douglas. So, on this first episode, I will be speaking about my feminine spiritual awakening. And this all started for me, I would say the biggest shift that I had experienced was back in 2017. During that time, I was living with my ex-husband and my two children in Bronx, New York, and I was very depressed. We were financially very tight. We didn't have that much room for anything. We were living in a small, was it a two-bedroom apartment? My daughter was like 10, 11 at the time, and my son was, I would say, 1 or 2 or 3 years old, one of those, 2 or 3 years old. And so, yeah, I was in a very toxic relationship. My ex was a narcissist. I was an empath. I mean, I'm still an empath. And so that dynamic of us being together, we were feeding off each other because as an empath, I love to take care of others. And so I, at that time, felt that the more I gave to him and to everyone around me, I would eventually feel full and complete because I'm giving so much. Where essentially I was just being drained. At that time, we saw no way out of our situation. I didn't. I did plan on leaving my husband a couple times. However, financially, it was impossible. There was really nowhere for me to turn to except to my parents' home, and I didn't want to live with my dad anymore. He was another narcissist who with age got just worse. My dad was an older gentleman. He was in his he's or he's yeah, late 80s when I was contemplating leaving my ex-husband. And so I left a really uncomfortable situation with my narcissistic ex dad. And then I was contemplating, and then I ended up in a even worse situation with my ex-husband. And so, yeah, it's a lot. It was so much. And at that time, I was contemplating going active duty to the military because it was the only escape route. I also felt like if we got away from everything, we got away from all the toxicity, my husband wouldn't stop cheating on me as well. If he got away from all the women that were tempting him, he will finally be just with me at home and stop trying to be outside with his friends and with women. And yeah, it was a very different time in my life. So when I did go active duty, I had to go to Oklahoma for like a 9-week training, and then I had to get my orders to be stationed in Texas. During that time, I think it's because I was away from everything. I was away from my home and my little bubble that I had created for myself. And I just cracked right open. I immediately, within a week, started crying and weeping and realizing that what I was living was not healthy. The way I was living, the example that I was setting my children was not a healthy example. To be with someone just because I didn't want to ruin their lives or turn it upside down or have them decide about, whether or not they should live with dad or they should live with mom. It was very, yeah, I was going against a lot of my values, a lot of it was just too much. And at that time, I felt like I was betraying myself. I was betraying my happiness. I was devaluing myself as a woman, as a person. I had betrayed myself in the sense that I was undervaluing myself. I was not looking at myself as beautiful. I was blaming myself at one point for all of this happening, for me choosing that dad and for me to choosing that person as my partner. I did realize that I picked someone that I wanted to fix. And that's the empath in me. I saw so much potential in him. I saw so much good in him that I felt that I can piece him back together. And obviously, that wasn't the case because you can't help someone that doesn't want help. And you can't help someone who doesn't see that there's anything wrong with them. They see that the way they're living their lives is, is what they want, is the way they want to live it. So you either accept it or you don't. And I was too young and naive to realize that. I had known my husband since I was 16 years old. So we literally grew up together. And these type of adult relationships that we were creating, we really didn't have better guidance or better support because my parents themselves were in a narcissistic family dynamic. And so my ex also, he didn't have a a mother and father role model. They weren't around. He was raised by his grandmother. And yeah, it was really we were playing adults without knowing what we were doing. And obviously trying to build a relationship on unhealed trauma that, yeah, and basically continuing that cycle onto our children that I didn't realize I was doing at the time. But I did know that in my heart and in my gut, if I was going to continue this route with this man, not feeling beautiful, not feeling loved, not feeling appreciated, not feeling valued, and not fully trusting this man and not feeling like I was 100% whole and complete. I didn't know what that felt like. I didn't know if that was even possible, but I did feel a pull in my heart and a gut feeling and that what I wanted was not asking for much and what I wanted did exist even though I didn't see it around me. I filed for divorce and that was a whole roller coaster of emotions because he did not want to divorce me. And so I he also withheld my children for me. So emotionally I was all over the place. I thought about many times of withdrawing the petition for divorce. But at the same time, I was contemplating with myself, like, Lorena, you need to honor your decisions. You need to honor like the new way that you're trying to implement because the old way was not working. The way we were living was not working. It may have been working for him, but it wasn't working for me. I wasn't happy. I was exhausted. I was depressed. My hair was falling out. I couldn't sleep. I just did not feel whole and complete. I did not feel as beautiful or as vibrant as I've wanted to be. And like I said, I knew I didn't see it around me, but I knew somewhere in my heart that I didn't come to this planet. I didn't come to Earth to suffer. I didn't come to this earth to cry. I didn't come to this earth for a man not to value me. The man that I'm sleeping next to every single night to not value me and appreciate me as the woman that I am, as God's gift to him, it was just unacceptable. And I was basically teaching this to my daughter, who was becoming a young preteen at that time. And I felt that if I was showing this to my daughter, if I was showing this as normal to my daughter, then she too will continue this cycle of finding a man who doesn't appreciate her. And something within me was like, I need to cut this off now. I need to cut off this pattern. I need to nip it at the butt because we're not creating this cycle again. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm taking the initiative and I know it's hard. It's gonna be hard. It's not all, cookies and rainbows and like, it's going to be messy. And it was. And in that, I had to go seek therapy. I needed to speak to someone about everything that I was feeling and experiencing. Because even though I wanted it, I was going through my own roller coaster of emotions. And the therapist I had, she was such a sweet lady, like extremely nice. And she's the one who taught me about narcissism. I didn't even know what narcissism was until she mentioned it to me in a session. And everything she was saying was happening to me. The trauma cycle, the narcissistic cycle of showing you the best time ever, like giving you like that Disney experience, and then going back to just being horrible and just being evil and just doing the complete opposite, and then coming back with like a tail between his legs, asking for forgiveness, giving you that Disney experience, and then doing it again. And that was pretty much it sums up the whole relationship that I had since I was 16 till, I don't know, my early 30s. Like it was that, thinking that was normal and thinking that all the mistakes he did, he's crying about it. He's very forget like I have to forgive him because if someone's crying to me, it must be real. But yeah, once I did that, I became and I was able to get a divorce decree, and I felt like I was myself, like I could finally make decisions on my own. It was ecstatic. I was able to do so much more. I was able to feel like I wasn't carrying like all this heavy weight with me. Around that time I was able to get a 4-bedroom house on my own with my own name. I didn't have to ask for a cosigner. I also got my driver's license, which growing up in New York City, you don't need one. So in Texas, you do because we can't walk anywhere. So I got my driver's license. I got my first car on my own, no cosigner. I started to enjoy life. I've really started to do a lot of loving self-care as per my therapist instructed me to do. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is self-care? What do you mean? She's like, go get a massage, go get your hair done, go get your nails done, go to the spa, go to the movies. Just go to the movies and sit by yourself and just to take a day for you and enjoy being with you, which I haven't done in such a long time because I had my daughter really young. I was 19 when I was pregnant with her and I had her at 20. And so days alone, days off was with her and indulging her. And then with my son, and I just continued that cycle in giving to others rather than myself. So, yeah, I started doing that. Even though I felt wrong in the beginning because I felt like, oh, I could be using this money for something else. At the end, it felt so good. It felt so good to love on myself, to give to myself, to look at the mirror and be like, wow, that woman's beautiful. Like that's me. This is what taking care of myself looks like. And yeah, I just started getting more self-confidence. My self-esteem started going up. I started feeling really good about myself, about my body. I started going to the gym more, I think about twice a day in the mornings and in the evenings. I just was so motivated to keep giving to myself. And in all of that, realizing it now, I was filling my cup up. I was filling myself with so much love and so much appreciation for myself that all that guilt and that I was feeling about spending money on myself, like disappeared. And I just started feeling so good. And whatever little, like if my kids ever had a bad day and stuff, it didn't drag me down because I had so much love for myself and so much love was overflowing out of me that I was able to see my kids' little meltdowns with so much love. And yeah, and that's one thing they don't teach you is that, I mean, they teach you give, give, give to your kids, but they don't teach you, you have to give yourself first. Give yourself love first and appreciation first. Take care of yourself so you could be able to take care of others. So that was one of the lessons I started learning. And so after that, it was just so much fun and flowful and easy for a while. There were times where I was mourning my divorce, even though I really did want it. And, I didn't go into this marriage wanting a divorce. I really thought we were going to grow together and become stronger people together. But I mean, it is what it is. And so I had to mourn that. I had to mourn that version of me that did want that marriage and that did want that fairy tale ending with him. And so therapy wasn't enough. And I started going to church. I started going to God. I started giving all my pain and all my sadness to God at church because I just couldn't hold on to it anymore. Being at home wasn't enough and going to therapy wasn't enough. And I just had to give it away somewhere else. And in giving all of that away, and I started praying because I did feel lonely, even though it is what I wanted and it is what I was experiencing. I just didn't want to do it alone. I wanted a partner. I wanted my soulmate. I did keep that fairy tale of wanting a loving, supportive husband by my side, someone who would be able to appreciate me and love me and not want to cage me in, not wanting to restructure me and mold me into who he wanted me to be. Or keep me silent or clip my wings is how I saw it. I wanted someone who can love and appreciate me for me and not try to control me, which is the history of all men that I've ever dated. They've always wanted to control me. And so I told myself that the next man, my soulmate, will not do that. He would love me, he would appreciate me, he will support me, we will have awesome communication, and he would love and support and cherish my children as if they were his. And so in that, I prayed. I prayed for God to do that for me. And little did I know, he did show up. He did show up, and it took a while. That really, he honestly felt too good to be true in the beginning. He was very supportive, very kind, very caring, always there to support my children and to allow me to do stuff that I wanted to do while he took care of the kids or ran errands for me. And which was very, very like too good to be true. And at times I felt that I was like, you know what? Let me test him. And so I would do little tests here and there to see if he would flip out or he would scream at me or yell at me, like my ex did. And he didn't. He's always was calm and collective, and he still is very calm and collective. And so, yeah, before we knew it, within 7 months of knowing each other, we got married. And then I left the military, moved back to New York. He stood in Texas, and then my husband got orders to go to Germany, which was really hard because then COVID hit. And then with COVID hitting, the restrictions with going to Europe was very non-existent. Obviously, you had to have I think there was a time where you needed to have medical clearance or some sort of, yeah, reason, medical or military reasons to go over there and visit. And so I wasn't safe anymore. And around that, I would say that all the fear that I was seeing through the news or experiencing from just being at home and being on lockdown, the sadness, the depression, or my kids not being able to be kids, all of that really shifted and brought anxiety within me. I think it was a year after COVID, my ex-husband had signed a petition or had served me with court papers to ask for full custody of the children and my immediate return to Texas. It was really the anxiety went from here to here. I once again hit rock bottom. I was like very depressed and my panic attacks went to like really bad. I couldn't even sleep anymore. I think I had like 2 or 3 hours of sleep every night. And I had to pull over at the side of the road, I remember once, and taking my deep breaths because the panic attacks they just wouldn't stop. And so at that time, I had also returned back to school to finish and getting my bachelor's in social work. And I was obtaining my master's in social work as well. And so during my studies, I was guided that all of this, like I kept diagnosing myself. And I felt that I needed to see someone to be able to get prescribed antidepressants, just sleeping medication, something that would be able to help me cope with everything that I'm going through. And so with that, I was prescribed antidepressants depressants, I forgot what it is, sleeping, everything, waking up, like, and they worked. Don't get me wrong. They were really good. They got rid of all my sadness, but it also got rid of all my happiness. It worked too well that I felt emotionless. I felt like I was unable to laugh at things that I used to laugh at, and I was unable to cry at things that I used to cry at. And I literally felt like a robot. And I did not feel like that was something that I needed in order to live. Like there was something within me that was like, this isn't normal. Being emotionless is not living, being a robot. And I had another pull or gut and heart feeling that I need to stop this and I need to find another way to cope with what I'm experiencing. And in that, I scoured the internet and searched for different ways to heal that were not in the Western medicine ideal of drugs. During that time in school, they were teaching us about visualization and meditation, and I really loved it. So I started doing meditation practices. I think I kept finding YouTube videos on meditation. I started buying self care books, self help books about how to be happy. I started to, yeah, instill a lot of those practices, wholeness practices, doing at home yoga, breathing. Breathing was a big thing because I didn't realize how much I was holding my breath every time I was getting like anxiety or panic attack. I just wasn't breathing. I was just like holding my breath and always like in this fight or flight experience. And so in that, I slowly navigated to finding out about Reiki. And Reiki is really where everything 100% shifted for me because I had signed up for a Reiki session, not knowing or not really understanding what it was. All I saw on the internet is moving energy and using universal energy to shift the energy within your body. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I feel like I need to sign up for it and I need to do this because it's not taking drugs. It's just sitting and receiving energy, right? Whatever. I think it was 50 US dollars or something, or 100 US dollars. So I wasn't really like breaking the bank. But I also didn't, I was like, I was also afraid that she was going to steal my money and not do anything and me not feel anything. Anyways, it was the complete opposite. I felt everything. I felt the energy shift through me. I felt like there was someone in my body, but not in my body. I felt it in my stomach a lot. And I felt it like down at my lower belly. Yeah, I just felt it everywhere. It was a recalibration of energy in my body, and I wasn't aware what was going to happen or what will happen afterwards. But I will say that I felt so exhausted. I felt like I had done a whole day gym session without doing it. It was an energetic gym session because afterwards I fell asleep, and I would say the next day, everything just started looking so much clearer for me. The world around me just looked so much brighter. I don't know how to explain it, just so much brighter. Like I was seeing everything again for the first time, but with like childlike eyes. I started seeing the beauty in the trees and in the clouds and in the sky, in the grass, in the bugs, in the wild animals, and my children. They just look so much more beautiful to me. I just started having like just a deep, profound love and appreciation and so much gratitude for the world that I was living in and I am living in. But at that time, just I felt trapped, but with this newfound sense of reality, I was able to just find so much more appreciation. for everything and everyone. Yeah, and then that's how it all started. It took me down a rabbit hole of me wanting to learn what Reiki is and so I can train in it. And I did. I trained in it and I went up to like teacher training where I'm able to teach others. And I started doing Reiki just yeah, I was just doing a lot of free sessions for a while. Then after Reiki, I got obsessed with crystals. So I would buy a whole bunch of crystals because I could feel like their energy or their vibrantness in my hands. I could feel the tingles. And so I started buying a whole bunch of them, whichever one sparked my interest to have and to own in my home. I started having way too many and I started putting them everywhere. Like everywhere, everywhere, like in my bra, in my purses. It was just out of control. And so after that, I moved on and started taking a lot of online classes, spirituality classes. So then I can learn more about what all of this is. What is energy? What is spirituality? What is yeah, because I just felt like a whole world was being hidden from me, a whole world that no one teaches you about in school, in Sunday school, because I was brought up Catholic. We only talked about Jesus and God and saints, and there was like this big block that I was missing, and I felt like the only way I can get that is through taking these online courses that I would find online and hoping that it was legit and hoping that they weren't. I was guided because I always ask for recommendations. I don't like just searching online and just signing up for things. I like finding people that have worked with other people and guided me there. I will say that there are some people that I've just signed up for by just stalking them online. It wouldn't be something that I would do initially, but it would be like, if I found a spiritual coach or, multidimensional coach, a quantum coach, I would go on their Facebook page and their Insta page and I would do all their free online events. And then after feeling into the energy and like feeling into how I felt afterwards, I would be like, wow, I need more. Let me sign up for whatever course they may be having that's coming up. So that's how I went about it. And I will say that with more experience, more practice, more eating cleaner, because also my diet had changed. I was unable to process any alcohol anymore. I wasn't able to, it just kept giving me really bad migraines. I started eating cleaner because I couldn't process red meat anymore. So I started giving up on meat and breaking up with meat. I wasn't able to do any fast food anymore. I don't know. I'm guessing it's the energetic shifts within my body. And your body knows, like your body is like the first one to tell you like, hey, we need you to start eating. Like you're doing these spiritual practices, like you're here meditating every day, you're here grounding every day, you're here doing all these energetic work, your body is going to want to eat cleaner. It's going to want more nutritional food, which is one thing I didn't really know about because I remember trying to go to, like a fast food restaurant. I don't know. I'm just going to say McDonald's. And it just tasted like cardboard. There was nothing tasty about it. It just felt bland. And it was really sad because a lot of the foods that I used to enjoy, I had to break up with. And so that was another emotional breakup that I had to do with food. Yeah. But now, obviously, introducing more vegetables in my diet has really helped. I still eat fish as long as it's not too fishy. There's just some fish I can't eat. But I will say eating more fruits and vegetables has helped me and my body just feel so much more better. I don't know, I also say that my connection with my body just feels so much stronger than before. I'm able to pinpoint where, like, if my stomach's upset, what I should eat to, like, not upset it. Introducing teas because I also broke up with coffee. Coffee was not good for me. It was activating a lot of anxiety within me more than before. So I had gravitated towards tea so I could be able to just not be so anxiety all the time and in that go, go, go state because I was switching from being in this hyperactive state to a more calm and flowful state, which takes time and it takes training and it takes you changing your habits and changing the way you were and shifting into another version of yourself that's more flowful and ease. And so it's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of breaking old patterns and old routines and appreciating this new version that wants to come through. Because this is really what I prayed for, right? When I was going to church and when I was buying all these self-help books, I was trying to be that better, happier version of myself when I'm more calm and collective. And so my prayers had been answered. I was shifting to that person. I just didn't know it meant changing everything. You know, I used to look at a lot of people who were successful and what they did for, in their data, like what does a life in a day of someone who's successful look like? And they wake up early. They do their routines, their practices. I call them embodiment practices to help them feel whole and complete. They'll go to the gym, they'll meditate, they'll get grounded in their body and then they'll go about their day. Um, and I will say that's what happened to me. I started waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I would meditate. I would do my embodiment practices. I would do my yoga. I would go to the gym and then go about my day feeling embodied, feeling centered. And yeah, and I just didn't know that was going to take me down this rabbit hole of changing what I eat and changing how I live. And it also meant changing friendships and relationships. So, yeah, changing my relationship from an unhealthy relationship to a more empowered relationship really helped. Having a supportive husband who helps and supports me now with my children has really helped. And yeah, and then once I shifted, I had to break up with friends. I had to also realize where I was holding leaky boundaries or not holding boundaries at all. I wasn't holding boundaries with friends. I wasn't holding boundaries with family. I wasn't being my most authentic self or expressive self without I was tiptoeing. That's how I saw it. I was tiptoeing, walking on eggshells around those around me because I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But in reality, I realized I was feeling uncomfortable becoming something that I'm not when I should be my full authentic expressive self. Like how come I could be fully expressive with this person but not with this person? And so I started speaking my truth. I started shifting. I started changing. I started setting boundaries. And obviously, the people, the friendships that I had in my life didn't like that. They didn't appreciate it. And they lovingly left my circle. And so that's what happens, honestly. That's something that I wasn't really aware of at the time. That as you shift, the people around you will shift. They will either if they're meant to stay there and they're willing to accept you, they will go on with you to the next cycle. But if they're not willing to appreciate you and they're not willing if they get triggered by your shift, by your change, and they're not willing to accept it, or a version of them accepts it, but not really, or they say they accept it and it's not really it's not gonna work out, they will leave. They will leave your environment, they will leave your home, they will leave your space. And there's another mourning period that I went through when that happened because I went from having people around me to not having anyone at all. And at that time, my husband was still in Germany. So I was alone with the kids and it just felt even more lonelier. But I had to trust that I have to embrace this version of myself that was coming through, this version of myself that just felt more free and less restrictive. Like, just, I wanted to be this woman who can speak her truth, who can talk the talk without holding back, who could speak to anyone and be her true, authentic self. Like, it's what I was yearning for, it's what I was calling in. And it was the gift that I was being given. And I was ready to take it. I was ready to be me fully. And if it meant losing people, then that is fine. And so after that, my husband returned home and I still continued my journey. Yeah, he got out the military. I still continued my journey on finding myself and I decided to go on retreats. Oh, that was so beautiful. My first retreat, I went to Hawaii and I was scared. I was so scared, but I felt like this was my next step to physically, because I did all these courses online and I've never physically been in a room with spiritually conscious individuals. And especially since I'm going on a plane to Hawaii with women that I've never ever met in my life, I've only seen online. I went and I spent, I think it was a week or a couple days. I think I want to say a week with women at a retreat space. I think it was 25 women, I want to say. And knowing what a spiritual pilgrimage was, it was very, very heart centered, very co creating with the land and learning about the different energetics around the land. And it was just so many beautiful embodiment practices and co creation with the other women there, and getting to know each and every woman and seeing how loving and caring they all were. It just made my heart just explode even more. And again, somewhere inside of me, I was like, I have to do this. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know in my future, I am going to hold women retreats. I'm going to hold women circles. I'm going to hold women led experiences because this was mind blowing. This was what I've been craving for. I've been craving for a like minded community of women, for women that is so supporting and so loving and meeting each other from a heart centered place and not from a trauma bonding experience, not from an unhealed area where we're blaming each other and we're being catty, like as if we were in high school, and gossiping. Like, I don't appreciate that. I love the version of me that did all of that. I mean, hey, we all had to be initiated in that sometime or another, but not anymore. I feel like I've outgrown all of that and I just want to be around loving people that could appreciate me for who I am and I can lovingly see them where they are and then and then we go on and live our sovereign life. So after that Hawaii trip, I was like so stoked. I went to an Egypt trip and that was very wow, another mind-blowing experience. Another large group of women, 20 plus, I want to say, and a few men were invited too to hold the divine masculine. Then all of those experiences cracked me wide open. I will say that I learned that there are different energetic spaces around the world that if you go to them, you'll be able to remember past experience or past lives that you've spent, because I learned we're just multidimensional beings of light. We're just not what we've learned about. We're way more than anything that we would ever learn about at church or at school. We're way more than what the government is trying to teach us about depression and about psychiatry and all this stuff. Like, I felt like I had learned what the government wanted me to learn. through school, through my social work and my master's and stuff. But at the same time, I was also learning about the truth of our multidimensionality, the truth of our soul. And I became the bridge between the two. And with that, it was just mind blowing. These sites, these sacred spiritual sites. And I continued. After Egypt, I went to New Zealand. Wow. Small group of women, so mind-blowing again, remembering, and feeling the beautiful, juicy energies of New Zealand. That was insane. And then after that, Scotland. And Scotland was another life-changing experience that I was remembering so much, more than I've ever experienced in my life. And so, yeah, after that, I think my Scotland experience was last year, and I remembered a lot of the Rose lineage. I remembered the lineage of Mary Magdalene and Jeshua, and my holy promise and commitment that I will remember and that I will help other women remember. And yeah, and now here we are. We are here to now, and I would not change my spiritual energetic experience for anything in the world. I have been feeling more empowered than any time before. Every year is a new initiation into embodying more of my divine feminine essence, embodying more of my power, embodying more of trust and surrendering to the divine forces that are around me, and more of embodiment and more love, self love for me, my body, my home, my children. I In all of that, I've been feeling more like the queen of my queendom. I started to realize that I am not alone, that there's a lot of women like me out in the planet. And in all of that, I was able to now see my sovereignty and see it in me, my children, my husband, and I'm able to see it in others because I've embodied it. So now I could see that everyone is a sovereign creator of their own reality, of their own world, and that we're all just lovingly co creating on this earthly plane, living our best lives. And yeah, and those who are on their journey of discovering and realizing who they were always meant to be, we're all on this journey together. Like, no matter what level we're at, whether we're at the beginning or even if we've been at this for years, there's no ending, is what I've also realized. There's no end to this. There is an ongoing cycle of learning and even deeper initiations, because if you ask for this, the universe will oblige. And so I've been asking for this for years. I was, like I said, since 2017. And I'm just keep getting initiated, even now, beginning this year alone, initiated into deeper levels of trust and surrender within me, that because I want to embody more of my power, more of myself. I want to be my true, authentic self on this earthly plane. And so the universe will oblige. And so this is where I'm at now. I'm sharing and hopefully providing you with some wisdom that this is a path that's not for the weak. This path is for the ones that are ready to step in to knowing their true authentic self, knowing who they're really meant to be, and not going with that script, that program that society had to, was trying to place you in. For me, being a woman and growing up in a Spanish household with a patriarchal dad, I was told to just look cute and pretty and just cater to the man. And everything that I've done in my life, I've done to go against the man and trigger my dad. And because I didn't want to be boxed in. And I still feel very much that I don't want to be boxed in. If people say you can't do that, I'll be like, really? Why? Because I'm a woman? and then I'll go and challenge it. A lot of people told me I couldn't make it in the military, that I was insane, I was going to die at war. I None of that happened, and I'm still here. A lot of people told me I couldn't have a daughter so young. You're gonna be struggling, you're gonna be on food stamps, you're gonna be on welfare, you're gonna be on this in the system. Okay. And I was in all of that. And it all did help me when I needed it, but I got out of it. I was able to succeed financially and get out of it. What I do realize is that my experience, my soul wants to experience everything, wants to experience the duality of everything this life has to offer. And those were aspects of me that needed to experience that so then I can be where I'm at today. I needed to experience the negative so I can know what good feels like. I needed to experience what being in the system was like so I can feel like, I don't like this. Let me change this. How can I get out of this? I need a higher paying job. I need a better skill set. Let me try to do these other jobs that would lead me to this. And that's how I approach my spirituality. So if you can take anything from this, take that your love and your sensitivity is your superpower, and that your journey does matter, and the world does need to feel and see your unique feminine essence shine through without anything or anyone holding you back. So with that, if this resonated with you and you would like to know more, I would invite you to follow me, visit my website at lorenadouglas.com. Also subscribe now and know that I would love to walk this path together with you. This is a sacred space where us women can come in sisterhood and walk this path together. There's so much love. Bye.